So sometimes you'll spray a fragrance and upon immediate sniff, you're just gonna think, wow, this stuff smells really expensive. This is definitely a luxurious smell. Well, I definitely have 10 of those here for you today. Some are designer, some are niche. But when you smell them, you definitely think high end. They just smell like they beg to be worn a little more dressed up. Not something you're gonna be wearing with a t-shirt. Just smells luxurious. For lack of a better term, these just make you feel fancy. Stay tuned. So jumping off into the first one, this is actually a favorite, and I'm sure a lot of you will understand where I'm coming from with this one if you've smelled it before. It's from Dior. It's Dior Homme Intense. Very formal scent, very powdery, very floral, has a bit of leather in the background, and a beautiful sweetness. It really just, man, it's just nothing else compares to Dior Homme Intense. There's others that kind of remind you of Dior Homme Intense, but at the end of the day, nobody really makes iris smell the way that the Dior Homme line has made the iris note smell. Their in-house perfumer at Dior did such a fantastic job over the years with the Dior Homme line, and every time I've ever smelled this, it just smells classy. It smells like high-end luxury. It smells like something that costs even more than it actually does. Not a cheap fragrance by any means, but not the most expensive fragrance either. But like I said, one that when you smell it, at least for me, I immediately think, this stuff smells really expensive. Works in a lot of situations, more on the dressier side. And that's Dior Homme Intense. Next, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with this fragrance. I don't have a full presentation bottle. I do have a 30 milliliter decant of this fragrance. And I gotta tell you, from the very first time I sprayed it, man, this smells so expensive. It really does. It smells extremely luxurious. It's animalic. It takes a beloved niche fragrance and just makes it even fancier. It's from Parfums de Marly. It's Latent Exclusive. Yeah, like I said, this is a 30 milliliter decant. It's actually a little shy of that, but that's okay. This stuff, like I said, the oud that's used in this one, that leather note, the civet, it's the right amount of animalic. I'm not one that just likes extremely animalic and raw fragrances, but this Latent Exclusive just does it right. Beautiful fragrance. Don't get me wrong, Latent is a wonderful fragrance in itself. That is a compliment machine. Smells of quality. It's sweet, it's spicy, it's powerful. This amps it up. This adds a lot more depth. This is a very deep and complex fragrance that is going to be a head turner anytime you wear it, anywhere you go with it on. And it just smells so expensive. Not the cheapest fragrance. It is a Parfums de Marly fragrance. It's a nice niche fragrance, to say the very least about it. But it's definitely one that will turn heads. I know for me, every time I smell it, it's floating in the air right now actually. God, it's some good stuff. This stuff smells really expensive, really luxurious, and I can't imagine wearing it with anything less than an Oxford, because it just does the trick. Smell like somebody with money when you're wearing Latent Exclusive. Next, this is one that's definitely for the cooler months. It's one that I plan on busting out more in the winter. Might start pulling out a little bit in the fall as well. But from the very first time I've smelled this one, it's another one that just smells its price. It smells like it cost a pretty penny. It does not smell cheap in any way, shape, or form. Quality, complexity, and power. It's from Roger Parfums. It's Creation E, Parfum Cologne, also known as Enigma on the other side of the pond. The Coke float type of scent, if you will, the way the benzoin comes off with that cognac note. This stuff is gorgeous. Oh man, the tobacco in it, it's just such a beautiful, sweet and boozy and resinous fragrance. This is so good. Definitely one to really enjoy. This is one of those fragrances that when you smell it, you just feel the need to just go do something. This is definitely not the sit around the house type of fragrance. Obviously you can if you want to, but when I smell this, it smells like an event. It smells like I'm going somewhere and doing something of importance. It just smells of luxury, and it absolutely is. It's not a cheap fragrance by any means, but you can get it at a pretty discounted rate for what it is from Vinva Fragrances, which is always linked below if you want to check them out. And I got to tell you, this is one of the better fragrances in my collection. Definitely runs a race with Scandal from its own line for my favorite. The entire line is good, but when it comes to just smelling expensive, pretty hard to beat Creation E from Raja Parfums. This is just a cold weather darling. Next, when it comes to sweet and spicy luxury designers, not too many do it better than Viktor and Rolf Spice Bomb Extreme. This is a lot of people's number ones on their cold weather list. This is a lot of people's favorite Spice Bomb fragrance in the line, and for good reason. Oh man, this stuff is next level. Beautiful fragrance, the way they took the tobacco and the spices with this lovely vanilla note that they put in here. They really stuck with the heart of what Spice Bomb was about and just made it more luxurious, for lack of a better term. It really is. The warmth is there. It performs even better than the original. The compliment factor is absolutely there. This is another one that's not just a t-shirt fragrance. This is one that when you smell it, it's going to make you feel a little fancy. It's going to make you feel like somebody, for sure, because it just has that power. It's such a good fragrance. It really is. And it does not smell cheap, does not smell overly synthetic, doesn't smell, you know, like a $500 fragrance, but it definitely doesn't smell like a $90 fragrance either. This is some really, really good stuff, especially in the colder months that are coming up. You see a lot of people wearing this, posting scent of the days on social media. A lot of people with channels talking about it, because this is a fantastic fragrance. One of the best designer fragrances on the market. Definitely designer luxury at its finest with Spice Bomb Extreme. Now with this next one, I don't have anything else that smells like it. The way the jasmine mixed with the leather and the saffron is done in this fragrance is extremely classy. It's attention grabbing, it's powerful, it's very unisex, it has a strong elegance and presence to it. It's from Kajal Perfumes, Jasmina from the Warday collection. This stuff is something else. Now that it's going to start cooling down here real soon, it's going to be time for me to pull this bad boy out. Oh man, it's got a fleshy animalic, like it's an animalic leather, not overly animalic, with a fleshy petal of the jasmine type of smell to it. Very natural, very, very high quality, and extremely powerful. I definitely think white flowers, weddings, you know, formal events, this begs to be worn to those situations. This screams luxury. This screams class and elegance. This is some next level stuff right here from Kajal. This is probably the classiest, in my opinion anyways, the classiest fragrance from the house. You really need to sample this one and try it, because you know they're definitely not cheap fragrances. They're in the $200 retail range, but they do offer discovery sets. I urge you, get a discovery set for the Warday collection so you can try Jasmina, because Jasmina is next level luxury when it comes to fragrances. Gorgeous, gorgeous scent that smells like no other. That's Jasmina, Kajal Perfumes. Next, this designer fragrance is in the same vein as Dior Homme Intense without smelling just like Dior Homme Intense. It takes iris, and instead of going with the flower, it goes with the root, with orris. And it takes its sweetness from balsams and resins and kind of tones the sweetness down, if you will. Maybe not quite as loud, and a little bit more versatile. But boy, does it smell expensive. It's from Givenchy Gentleman EDP. Beautiful black painted bottle. It's actually painted on the inside, so you actually cannot see through it. A thick base. This is another one that's just something special from the designer side of perfumery. Not redundant in any way to have this with Dior Homme Intense. It'll remind you of it. They can do similar things for you, but it definitely has its own vibe with the resins. And that Tolu balsam that's in here really changes it and adds more depth that isn't necessarily there in Dior Homme Intense, where that smells extremely classy. This smells more like the guy crashing the wedding, hanging by the bar, if you will. He's got one button undone with no tie. That's what this fragrance reminds me of. This is the wedding crasher. This is the guy that's there to steal the bridesmaids, if you will. Givenchy Gentleman EDP. Smells of class, smells of money, but maybe not quite as formal, if you will. I know that was an interesting way to describe it, but if you smell it, you'll totally get where I'm coming from with that visual. And that's Givenchy Gentleman EDP. So with this next one, confidence is going to be key, because in the opening it can be a bit feminine, but if you let it get past that white peach that's in the opening, this is an extremely classy fragrance, very luxurious, very elegant smell, just a gorgeous dry down. Definitely smells much more expensive than what you can get it from at wholesalers, and it's from Mancera. It's black vanilla. This is another one that you can get for a really good price, well under $100 from Venba Fragrances when they have it in stock. The black currant, the white peach, the jasmine, the vanilla, the creamy, beautiful vanilla. The not overly sweet vanilla either. The way this was done, this is a special fragrance right here that not a lot of people talk about. It definitely smells of luxury. It smells very expensive, even though it's really not. Retail's on the expensive side, but you can get it from discounters, like I said, from Venba for well under $100. And it's worth every penny. Is it going to be for everyone? No. Very confident man that likes a beautiful floral fragrance with some just creamy, beautifully mildly sweet, semi-sweet vanilla, if you will. And it's a powerhouse too. Mancera Black Vanilla. My God. It's a special fragrance. I only pull it out in certain situations because it just smells like that type of fragrance. Situational. You can wear anything, anytime. But this is definitely for that situation when you want to feel fancy, when you want to feel expensive, or you feel like you're dressed like the man. This is going to be the fragrance to cap it off. Mancera Black Vanilla. Now, I myself am not a giant fan of vetiver fragrances. It's got to be a very clean vetiver for me to even entertain wanting to try it or wearing it for sure. And when I got this one, it was love at first sniff. This smells like a boss. This smells of luxury. This smells of upper level management for sure. It's from Dior. It's Eau Sauvage. Parfum. The 2017 to newer formula. This stuff here, man, man, man. The citrus, the elemi, that citron in it with the vetiver. It's a soapy clean vetiver, and this is powerful. It's classy, it's elegant. It definitely smells expensive, and it can be for sure in that $130 range at discounters. Not a cheap fragrance by any means, and it smells the price point. It smells like it deserves every single dollar that it commands, because this stuff smells very expensive. This is a fantastic fragrance. Not the easiest thing to sample. Definitely a bold blind purchase, which was what I did. I don't urge anyone to blind buy anything, but I'm very guilty of that. I do it just about every time I buy a fragrance. And this right here is one of the best blind buys I have ever made. It smells better than I ever hoped it could have. And like I said before, extremely classy, elegant, and commands every dollar that you're going to pay for it. It's well worth the money. Eau Sauvage, Parfum. Next, I pull this one out when I'm wearing my suit and I want to be noticed. It's confidence inspiring when you dress the part and you wear this fragrance. This is a beautiful luxury fragrance for an iris lover, mixed with the musk, the pineapple, and the hyacinth. Some of you may know where I'm going with this. This is from Xerjoft Accento. It's powerful. It's natural smelling. It's long lasting. It's definitely not cheap. It's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful fragrance. One more little half spray. You should sample this one. A lot of these in this video I wear in certain situations, and I have a very specific situation for this one as well. Like I said when I first introduced the fragrance, when I'm wearing a suit and tie, and it's just one of those days, I'm just feeling that type of way. I want to smell the part to go with what I'm wearing. The watch, the shoes are working with the tie and the suit. You know what I mean? I know you understand where I'm coming from, fellas. This is that fragrance. This stuff smells even more expensive than it actually is, because it is not a cheap fragrance. And that's from Xerjoft, one of my favorites, Accento. And then last but not least, this is actually marketed for the ladies. It's a new release from this year from Juliet Has a Gun. It's raspberry, it's iris, it's violet, patchouli, and cedar. It's a simple note breakdown, but it just works. Lipstick Fever from Juliet Has a Gun. Man, I don't know who else is going to think this, but this stuff just smells so expensive to me. It smells luxurious. It smells like a beautiful niche fragrance. The quality's there. The complexity for such a simple note breakdown is there. I can get all of the notes at different phases of the fragrance throughout its lifespan. It smells very, very classy. A very confident man's going to wear this as well. I mean, for God's sakes, it's a fragrance called Lipstick Fever, because it's got some lipsticky iris. And it's gorgeous. It's sweet. It's fruity. The patchouli adds a little masculinity to it in the dry down. It's a bit of a kind of a sharp cedar, if that makes any sense. Those of you that have smelled a cedar that's kind of got an edge to it will understand where I'm coming from when I say that. It's actually much more masculine than you would think in the dry down. The opening is just to die for in this fragrance. High-end luxury. Smells of money. It just absolutely does. One of my favorite pickups from 2020 for sure. Juliet Has a Gun, Lipstick Fever. Well guys, that's the 10. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of these have you tried? How many of these do you have? How many of these do you completely agree with me? They just smell luxurious. They smell expensive. Some of them are quite expensive, and they smell like they deserve every single dollar that they call for if you want to buy one, I gotta say. And until next time, if you get your hands on any of the fragrances discussed in this video and you give them a spray now, who knows? You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.